I can't.
He paid for it. I can't. I guarantee it.
Calm down. Calm down, brother.
And Lamont Roach, we saw the first fight. Lamont Roach shocked the world. What do you think happens in a rematch if they fight?
I think he shocks the world again.
But at the same time, I think Roach fought at his peak. You know, I don't think he can fight better than that.
But do you believe...
In a move that has stirred the boxing world, Gervonta "Tank" Davis has publicly fired back at his former promoter and mentor, Floyd Mayweather Jr., after the boxing legend showed support for Lamont Roach ahead of Davis's anticipated rematch with Roach. The fiery response from Davis signals escalating tensions not only between him and Roach, but also with Mayweather reigniting a long simmering feud that traces back to their complex history within Mayweather Promotions. Gervonta Davis was once regarded as the crown jewel of Floyd Mayweather's promotional stable. The Baltimore-born knockout artist was personally mentored by Mayweather, often hailed as the next big pay-per-view star to follow in his mentor's footsteps. For years, the pair appeared inseparable. Mayweather regularly cornered Davis during fights, offered him lavish gifts, and publicly endorsed him as boxing's next megastar. However, cracks in their relationship began to show as Davis grew increasingly independent. Complaints of micromanagement, miscommunications, and public spats hinted at behind-the-scenes friction. Davis eventually parted ways with Mayweather Promotions in 2022, opting to manage his career more independently, with PBC facilitating his matchups. Fast forward to 2025, and Davis is gearing up for one of the most personal fights of his career, a rematch with Lamont Roach, a slick technician and former Mayweather-advised fighter. While their first bout ended in a controversial decision, Roach has since demanded redemption, earning a rematch. Tank won a rematch.
Tank won a rematch. Let me know now. Do you want to fight Tank again? He said he open to do a rematch. Do you want to fight Tank
100%.
again?
It's only a matter of time. We're gonna fight. We're going to fight again. It's just whenever the fight gonna happen.
So it's going to happen?
It's going to happen.
Okay. They say they want it in New York again. Do you want to fight again in the Barclays Center?
I wouldn't mind, but I'd love for it to be in D.C.
Okay.
I'd love for it to be in D.C.
Things took an unexpected turn earlier this week when Floyd Mayweather publicly voiced his support for Lamont Roach during an Instagram live session. Mayweather's words, although measured, were seen as a sharp slight by Gervonta Davis, who interpreted the comments as an intentional betrayal from someone he once called a father figure. Never one to bite his tongue, Gervonta Davis fired back with a scathing post. In a follow-up interview with Showtime Boxing, Davis doubled down. Floyd's been hating man. The emotional outburst underscores just how personal this upcoming fight has become. It's no longer just about titles or rankings, it's now a battle for pride, loyalty, and redemption. From a boxing psychology perspective, Mayweather's support for Roach may play into mind games, whether intentional or not. It places Davis under intense public scrutiny. Known for fighting with raw emotion, Davis may need to maintain control to avoid allowing personal feelings to cloud his performance. In the ring, for Roach, Mayweather's endorsement is a strategic confidence boost. It adds credibility to his camp, elevates his profile ahead of the PPV event, and mentally frames him as the chosen fighter against a superstar with everything to lose. This latest drama between Gervonta Davis and Floyd Mayweather is more than just boxing. Beef, it's a reflection of mentorship gone awry, generational pride, and the brutal individualism of the sport, with Mayweather now seen as indirectly opposing. His former protege Davis steps into the ring not just to defend his record, but to reclaim his narrative. We just got a glimpse into Tank's training camp for the rematch.
We did how many rounds? We fight there at least 3.
Yeah, but you in the back for about 8 too.
Yeah.
Let's go. You're not.
Meanwhile, Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis are at last prepared to run it back. Boxing Scene has verified that the WBA lightweight title rematch is officially slated to headline the August 16th PBC on Prime Video pay-per-view card. While TGB Promotions currently has T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas reserved for the event, the final venue has yet to be confirmed at the time of publication. Matthew Bellini Brown of Brunch Boxing was the first to reveal the second act's date on March 1st. Roach and Davis fought to a majority draw at Brooklyn, New York's Barclays Center. The venue was initially in the running to host the rematch when plans were first set for a mid to late June date. However, current expectations point to Las Vegas as the front-runner, with either the T-Mobile Arena or MGM Grand Garden Arena likely to land the event. With a rematch reportedly scheduled for August in Las Vegas, Terence Crawford shared his thoughts on how the second fight might play out. Speaking to Ring Champs. With O and Barack, he expressed doubt that Roach would be able to better his performance from their first encounter. Crawford said he thought people were going to see a better version of Tank, but at the same time, he believed Roach had fought at his peak and didn't think Roach could perform better than that. He acknowledged that Roach could definitely have Tank's number, but noted that it didn't mean Tank would fight the same way. Crawford explained that Tank could let his hands go, more emphasizing that it was part of the mental game. He pointed out that when Tank was hitting Roach or when Roach was blocking, it was just 1 or 2 shots, and stressed that Tank needed to start picking up the pace and throwing in combinations.
The phrase when people say he got his number.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a real thing, and could it be possible that Roach has his number?
Definitely. Roach can definitely have his number, but that don't mean that Tank will come in there fighting the same fight.
But what could he do different? When I watched
he can let his hands go more.
But I think at times he did, and then he was being met and countered with answers back every time. So people are not used to seeing Tank in that space, because when he lands those shots, they usually end the fight, but they weren't hurting Roach.
But that's the thing. That's the mental game of it. You know, when he was hitting Roach or Roach was blocking, he'd hit with like 1 or 2 shots.
Right.
You know, you gotta start picking it up and throw multiple
combinations. Yeah.
Additionally, Boxing Scene has discovered that the event is one of at least 3 high-end shows that PBC has scheduled for the upcoming months. As earlier mentioned, July 19th is emerging as the likely date for the much-anticipated WBC welterweight title clash between Mario Barrios and boxing legend Manny Pacquiao. Meanwhile, behind-the-scenes matchmaking efforts are intensifying to secure an opponent for undefeated 2-division champion and current WBC light heavyweight title award holder David Benavidez, with plans taking shape for a headlining bout later in October or November. The Davis-Roach 1 bout stirred plenty of debate, yet the final tally 115-113 for Davis, with 2 even scores of 114-114 accurately mirrored the action inside the ropes. While some argued Roach had done enough to earn the victory, the outcome wasn't widely seen as a robbery by impartial fans and analysts. Roach was the victim of dubious officiating during a moment in the 9th round that should have changed the course of the bout. Roach, a native of the greater Washington, D.C. area, landed a sharp jab halfway through the 9th round. In response, Baltimore's Davis glanced over at referee Steve Willis, then pivoted away and dropped to 1 knee. No knockdown was ruled during the sequence, and in a rare moment, Davis was allowed to call his own timeout, so co-trainer Calvin Ford could wipe away what he claimed were hair products that had dripped into his eye, briefly affecting his vision. Willis's punishment amounted to little more than a harsh scolding delivered face-to-face. Davis, on the other hand, escaped with a mere slap on the wrist. Despite the fact that his actions could have warranted disqualification, cornermen are strictly barred from stepping onto the ring apron mid-round unless explicitly called in by an official. Furthermore, the New York State Athletic Commission was reportedly unable to access instant replay because they did not obtain footage from the prime video production truck before the 10th round began. Roach lost a 10-8 round as a result of all those factors. Davis received 2 of the 3 official cards with scores of 10-9. Roach, the reigning WBA junior lightweight champion, who stepped up in wait for the bout, couldn't quite seize the moment entirely, and ultimately walked away with a moral victory, battling Davis to a hard-fought draw. The capacity crowd of 19,500 voiced its displeasure with the outcome, showering the decision with boos. Still, the underdog defied expectations, and his gritty performance sent his reputation skyrocketing.
Lamont Roach, we saw the first fight. Lamont Roach shot the world. What do you think happens in a rematch if they fight?
I think he shocks the world again. But the only thing different this time is Tank will come with a different attitude, different personality, different motivation. And I think Roach will do good again, but I think Tank will be more dominant.
Nevertheless, Roach is determined to put up a fight in the upcoming rematch. Man, I'm so excited about this. Oh, it's part 2, and it's time to boogie once again. Roach told Boxing Scene and ProBox TV of the contractually bound rematch itself. Though he was not in a position to validate the reported date, both fighters were ready to proceed with a rematch despite Roach's camp filing an official protest over the previously mentioned issues that occurred in the ring. The New York State Athletic Commission reviewed the case, recognized the missed knockdown call, but ultimately chose to let the original decision stand. Throughout his career, Davis has primarily been guided by Ford, but it was seasoned cornerman Barry Hunter who stepped up to lead during the recent camp and on fight night. The undefeated two-division champion has remained tight-lipped about the timing of the rematch and has yet to reveal who will head the team for the next preparation. His adversary doesn't care about that part. Whoever he may have in his corner might try to make adjustments from the first fight and do certain things, but we're going to be ready to tackle the issue of taking the belt from the champ, said Roach, who is guided by his father, Lamont Roach Sr. He added, "Some of the close rounds in the first fight were scored unnecessarily for him when he wasn't really doing anything. We're going to come back with some new things too. My tool bag's big. I'm going to show versatility, I'm going to show strength, endurance, and the will of a warrior." Roach stepped into the ring for his debut fight with nothing to lose, essentially gambling with borrowed stakes. The pressure rested squarely on Davis, then a heavy 600 favorite to perform and dominate. Yet instead of asserting his expected dominance, the boxing sensation and former pound-for-pound standout had to face the first mark against his record. Even though it wasn't a clear loss, Roach, who previously faced Davis twice in the amateurs, said, "Those 12 rounds proved I already knew who he was from before. There was a mental advantage from when the fight was first announced. I was already on a high horse, already had a chip on my shoulder. What's driving me is I want to be the best," he added. "Davis has been a pound-for-pound talent for the last few couple years. You guys have seen my skills now. I'm never going to knock his skills, never going to knock his ability. But I want to be amongst the tops too. My performance in the rematch will show you guys that I belong in those conversations, and when I win, I cannot wait to celebrate and tell everyone, I told you so."
Was that good? It would just take the right fighter to pick him apart, to be honest.
Roy Jones Jr., widely regarded as one of the all-time greats in the sport, has weighed in on the highly anticipated lightweight rematch and is confident about who will come out on top this August. Addressing pro boxing enthusiasts, Jones praised Roach, confidently stating that he's set to astonish the world once more. However, he also acknowledged his belief that Davis will adapt effectively to secure a decisive victory. This time, Roy Jones Jr. said that he thought Roach would shock the world. Again, but the only difference this time would be that Tank would come with a different attitude, a different personality, and different motivation. He believed Roach would perform well again, but he thought Tank would be more dominant this time. In the upcoming weeks, an official announcement regarding what is certain to be one of the major bouts of 2025 is anticipated. The bout was originally slated for June, but has now been pushed back to mid-August, allowing both competitors ample time to gear up for what might become the defining moment of their careers. On his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, renowned UFC commentator Joe Rogan openly addressed the contentious outcome during a chat with comedian Tom Segura. Rogan critiqued Davis's performance and implied that the draw was overly generous. He had that fight with Lamont Roach where it ended in a draw, and it was a legitimate draw, he commented, before launching a more forceful criticism. "You could even argue that Roach won that fight," Rogan made the comment while analyzing Devin Haney's recent fight against Jose Ramirez, reflecting on how a first defeater, even a narrowly contested bout, can signal the beginning of a fighter's decline. "There is a point where the greats just stop being what they were. Everyone has a limited number of times they can perform at their best," he said indirectly, alluding to Davis's current situation. He actually has a number of them. The ring's top-ranked lightweight is regarded as one of the most popular fighters, globally renowned for his exceptional talent. He is above all recognized for his formidable power. Repeatedly, Davis manages to dismantle his opponents. This past weekend at Brooklyn's Barclays Center, his power was anticipated to be the deciding factor in his clash with Lamont Roach. Yet despite absorbing countless punches from both left and right, Roach relentlessly pressed onward after becoming only the third fighter to last the full distance. With Davis and just the second to go, all 12 rounds, Roach finds the claims about his power somewhat puzzling. While the current WBA super featherweight champion didn't dismiss Davis's punching ability entirely, he didn't appear particularly impressed either. Roach told a group of reporters, "He got decent power. He got decent power for sure." Davis may no longer hold a flawless record, but Roach isn't content with a split decision draw. He's pushing for an immediate rematch, however. Those demands might have to be put on hold for now. While their rivalry isn't finished, Davis made it clear that Roach will have to wait for a sequel as he sets his sights on other opponents. No matter what, Roach is sure he'll cross paths with Davis again eventually. For now, he's confident Davis can handle whatever challenges come his way. Although nothing landed cleanly on his chin this past Saturday, Roach can't ignore the explosive power Davis packs in his fists. In fact, he's convinced the 30-year-old champion will keep adding spectacular knockout victories to his highlight reel. Roach added, "I see why he knocks people out. I can see why."